Hello, cat.
Here we go.
You gonna sit by my microphone?
Is that Kefka?
Yeah, he's right here.
Kefka!
And with me in the studio.
The real special guest of this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great deal to say.
Oh, yes.
Right. Do you have a lot to say? Did you hear him?
Yes, I did.
Tell me more, Kefka. He has much wisdom in his tiny, stupid frame.
So good. All right, I have to look something. All right. Okay. I'm all set.
Sweet.
All right.
I just had to double check something. All right. More anime, more good stuff, more good times.
Oh, yeah. Cat, no.
More
He's-
total depression.
He was stepping on my keyboard. Total depression? Dude.
Bruh.
I mean, you guys did watch the show, right?
Oh,
Fair.
Oh, right. Yes.
Fair.
Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about your life, and I was like, man, we're recording a podcast. Like, we could talk about your sadness later, but
No, that comes later.
oh man.
Okay. Cue the intro.
Yeah.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the General Geekery podcast.
What?
Of course, this... Oh, sorry.
Woo!
This is the podcast where we geek out about all that we love to geek out about with no remorse, no regrets, and with all of the enthusiasm in the world.
Indeed.
Yay.
So this.
Enthusiasm.
Yes. As always, it is I, your resident coffee ninja by day, actor, gamer, and streamer by night, Donald Kaczynski. Joining me, as always, she is the artiste magnificente as well as dice slinger by night. She is Hannah Kubiak.
Hello.
And as you guys can tell, we have a special guest with us today. Joining us for the second time, you may have remember we had him on episode 26 talking all about tabletop gaming. He is the creator and narrator for the podcast series Tales from the Heliosphere, which me and Hannah are both a part of. Definitely go check that out wherever podcasts can be found. We would like to welcome back the one, the only, the wise and powerful Andrew Kelly.
And now for something truly wise and powerful. I'm not going to lie, when you guys brought me on for the D&D episode, I was like, really glad to be here. But also, there were so many other people you could have brought in that were so much more knowledgeable on the topic. But then Don was like, oh, I'm doing Anime April again this year. Do you want to be an episode? And then I was like, oh. Yeah, my expertise can now be used.
Yeah, I remember when me and Andrew were working, when we were doing Titus Andronicus, and me and Andrew were staying behind, cleaning up the theater space. We had a lot of different talks about RPG games and anime, and I wanted to bring you on last year for Anime April as well, but unfortunately, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So we didn't get around to that.
That was like one of our very last episodes that we recorded in person, wasn't it?
Yeah, recorded in person before all that happened, and we had Thomas and Maggie with us.
Mm-hmm.
One day we will reunite for a large recording podcast.
One day more.
One day more. But anyway, this is our second installment of Anime April 2021. Last episode, if you guys were have been listening to this in chronological order, we talked about the Garden of Sinners film series from 2007 to 2013, and that was my pick. For this episode, for our special guest, Mr. Andrew Kelly, we asked if there was a show that you would like to bring forth to the table and discuss, and you brought forth a very interesting one.
So I did.
Yes.
See, I was thinking I could go one of two ways about this. I could either choose something that was like, you know, definitely very, very much a sort of, oh, this is a good quality show. This is the kind of show that anime fans are like, oh, this is something that I can like and say that I have good taste when I like this. Or I could choose something that was super, you know, junk food. I chose the former in this case, but...
I was going to say, I was like, I still don't know which one you...
Wow.
That says more about me than about you, honestly.
Wow. But yes, so I decided that it'd be fun to talk about a show from back in 2012 and 2013 when it originally aired. Shin Sekai Yori, a.k.a. From the New World, a.k.a. Stephen King's 1984.
It totally is! It totally is. So for those of you, I'll do a little bit of like background stuff on just like the production of side of things because I did focus on that. This series was produced by Studio A1 Pictures, and of course, a lot of people who are in the anime know A1 Pictures has produced many different critically acclaimed series, and it's a subsidiary of Aniplex, which also has ties to other anime shows, such as, but not limited to, the Full Metal Alchemist series.
Oh.
No, and fun fact about this in particular regarding A1 Pictures is that the beginning of this series originally aired simultaneously with the end of the series, which arguably put A1 Pictures on the map as one of the most successful anime studios of the last decade, that being Sword Art Online.
They did Sword Art Online. They've done Fairy Tail, Blue Exorcist, as well as many, many others before and especially after. And also, another fun fact that I found out about. Apparently, this series was named after the ninth movement of the New World's, well, the ninth symphony of Antonin Dvorak.
Yeah,
The New World Symphony?
Ninth Symphony.
Yeah, the New World Symphony. This series is named after the New World Symphony.
Oh.
And it features several times in the show, actually.
I forget which movement it was that I know it wasn't the fourth movement.
That's the third movement, I think.
It's the second or the third. Okay, it says right here it was the second movement that was played.
Second movement. Okay.
The second movement of the symphony. Got it.
Yeah.
Don't y'all just love classical music?
Yeah.
Unironically, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Me too.
Now, Andrew, why did you decide well, what's your connection to this show?
So this is not a show that I watched back when it was first being aired. I first watched it actually right after I graduated college. So that would have been 2016, 17?
Sometime in the second age, I'm sure.
Sometime in the second age of man. But yeah, this is just a show that was recommended to me by a dear friend of mine who has a very good track record of recommending anime show to me that I end up really enjoying. So yeah, nothing really special about it, just watched it and really liked it. And when I was thinking of shows to bring on here to General Geekery, I was like, okay, this is a show that I think both Donald and Hannah would get into. So that is really why I picked it there. And also I just think it is a very I don't know if I'd say underappreciated. I think I'd say it's a little talked about show for how interesting it is and how cool it is.
Yeah.
Yep, I do agree on that. Well, around the time of its release, 2012 and 2013 especially, like a lot of different series were being released that were critically acclaimed. Attack on Titan in 2013 being the big one on that.
Yeah.
So, I think the show got a little bit overshadowed by a literal Titan.
No, thinking about it, yeah, this actually did come out literally right in between the first season of Sword Art Online and the first season of Attack on Titan. which are both like probably I'd say the two like medium defining shows of the early 2010s.
Easily like two of like the standout like mainstay anime titles of the 2010s. I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For those that don't know, go watch our Attack on Titan episode.
Oh yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So, I had not seen the show upon original release too. I actually saw the first 2 episodes of this show when I was helping run my anime club back in college. I actually haven't talked about this on the show. For about 2 years in college, I was part of a student organization known as the Japanese Animation Association at UW Milwaukee, and I was I was an officer who was in charge of putting together the programming that we would watch weekly. And I was recommended this series by one of our attendees to sit down and watch. And we showed the first 2 episodes, and I was always intrigued, but at the time I never had the opportunity to go back and watch it until Andrew recommended recommended this show for this episode.
Mm.
I'm gonna assume it's a similar case with you, Hannah?
Yeah, I had never seen it before. The dystopia is strong with this one. I really enjoyed it.
Hannah loves her dystopias.
I do love my dystopias. There were so many there were so many like themes of dystopia in it and stuff, and which I can get into a little bit more maybe later. But my initial reactions, I was kind of underwhelmed at the beginning when they were little kids and they were in school, and then they went camping for the summer and was involved with all the monster rats and stuff. And at that time I was kind of like, huh, okay, cool. Like I know that it moves on to when they're older. So this is like, it's kind of like watching the early Harry Potter movies, you know?
Yeah.
We were kind of like, you forgive it because you know that they're gonna like get older and not be children forever, you know?
You know, it's setting up the characters and the world for future payoff.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
And the funny thing is that when I was watching the first arc when they're 12 years old, I was kind of like, okay, so they're out here and they're doing this thing with the monster rats, and I like the monster rats. I was just kind of like, you know, like I didn't really find them interesting or anything. So I was kind of like, okay, once this arc is over, they probably won't be dealing with the monster rats anymore. It'll be something else. And then the whole thing was about monster rats, and I became okay with it. But yeah. Yeah, monster rats grew on me, and then they broke me. So
yeah,
that's what monster rats tend to do.
Yes, that's what they do.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I guess sort of we haven't actually really gone into like what the premise or anything of the show is.
Oh yeah, we haven't. By all means, Andrew, take the reins.
Yes. So Shin Sekai Yori is based on a Japanese dystopian sci-fi novel by author Kishi Yusuke, published in 2008, and it is basically the premise is that it is a distant future where humanity has these really crazy psychic powers, and we follow a group of 5 children who are growing up in this world and learning about how to use their powers, and things get a little difficult in their lives when during a summer camping trip they come across an ancient repository of knowledge and from there they learn that basically their entire society has been engineered to protect humanity from 2 terrible monsters that arise from humans with psychic powers. ogres and karmic demons.
Fair.
That was terrifying. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to explain what ogres and karmic demons are, and then we could kind of talk about them a little bit more, because they end up being pretty important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess you're saying I should take the reins here?
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right.
So
basically the whole idea is that the psychic powers are caused by just, the human subconscious. They think of something and it becomes reality. And so karmic demons happen when the human subconscious goes wild, and through what they term Hashimoto Applebaum syndrome, a human cannot control their powers anymore, and their power just leaks and creates their psychological inner terrors in the world around them. Whereas ogres, which are humans that are suffering from so-called fox in the hen house syndrome, hard word to say for me for some reason, basically are able to bypass genetic blocks that allow you to see other humans as humans. And so if you're an ogre, you no longer see other people as people, and thus are able to use your psychic powers to completely murder them.
Oh yeah, because in this world, because everyone is so powerful, you have to have a way to keep them from just killing each other with their psychic energy. So everybody is hypnotized from a young age to have this aversion to harming another human being, and it's called the death of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where basically, if you do violence to another human, you can't breathe, your heart stops working.
I think specifically it was liver failure is what's caused. I mean, I'd have to look that up again. But yeah, there's a specific organ shut down. And at first it's sort of like a warning sign, but that if you continue on, the shutdown becomes fatal. So that whoever did the harming becomes a dead person themselves. That was a sentence that I just said.
Indeed.
Then, of course, the scary thing about ogres is that they can bypass that. And unfortunately, there is no easy defense against ogres, because you cannot harm an ogre yourself without being subject to the death of shame.
Yes, because they are humans. Yep.
Yeah. So, the story building, this world, well, I mean, I love world building in anime. Yeah. I think that's, for a fantastical kind of setting, world building is a very key element in anime. Well, just any story and any kind of storytelling in general.
No,
so
I think... Sorry, go ahead.
So the storytelling, the world building that's introduced in this, is more or less revealed as a mystery as the series progresses, especially over the 3 different time periods that we spend with our characters, which we haven't even talked about, have we?
No.
I do not believe we have, not directly. No.
No.
So there are 5 children. They are Saki, Shun, Satoru, Mamoru, and Maria. And they are just 5 children who grow up over the course of the series, or most of them grow up over the course of the series.
There was a 6th one, but we forgot it right away.
I cannot even remember what her name was, because that's how important she is to she is important to the story. I say that, but she is important to the story. But she's important because she's forgotten, is the whole thing.
Indeed. It kind of shows how the it's basically how how it's structured, because the children that gain the powers and go through the necessary classes, there are some who are weeded out and never heard from again, depending on if they're weak or through some other kinds of circumstances via however the government works.
Yeah, through like the
impure cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can't kill people themselves, but if you're not up to snuff with your like psychical abilities, if they think that you're weak, there are these like mutant cats that they release to go and hunt you down and kill you.
Creepy cats with high heels. It's terrifying.
Yep.
Kefka, I better not see you do this.
Do not wear high heels, Kefka. You will destroy your joints.
He definitely would eat me if I was a little bit smaller.
Yeah, no. He gives off that vibe.
Kefka's a predator.
Ooh, he's a man-eater.
So the story is set in 3 different time periods. Like, we get them when they first enter the academy. The second one is like a few years later, and then the third one was adulthood, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like Saki was like 26.
Yeah.
It was like 12 years later.
12 years
Quite
later.
the time jump.
12 years later.
Anime time skips, ladies and gentlemen.
Wood.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as dystopian tales go, this one was something else, I gotta say. I don't know. Watching this show, I felt like a void in me. Just like, I just felt this void growing. I'm just like, oh god. This is not. It's for our listeners. We have recommended some shows where it's just like there are like deep meanings and things like that causes you to want to explore more or rewatch stuff in order to catch some stuff up. This can be a dangerous show to binge.
Which is what I did.
Of course you did.
Yep.
Of course you did.
I did start it before, like the day before we recorded. Usually I'll like realize, oh my gosh, I have to record this episode. And I'll start watching it like the night before we record. And then I'll finish watching it in the morning.
Didn't I tell you like weeks ago what I was going to choose?
Yes, but I forgot. But
Fair enough.
I started watching it like not just one day, but a few days before we recorded. So
excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still ended up watching like 15 episodes in one day though. So
I could tell from my Crunchyroll watch history.
Yeah.
No, and like on what Donald was saying before about like this as a dystopia, one thing that I think really works for this as a dystopia, which is something that maybe I'm just not consuming the correct dystopian stories, but I always feel like in a lot of dystopias, like you don't quite like, it feels like the dystopian society is just bad. And it's obviously bad. And it's like, okay, this is a terrible place to be. I don't understand why anybody puts up with it other than, oh, the whole message, human apathy, this can happen, et cetera, et cetera. But in the world of From the New World, it's just, they make, like I said, the entire society was engineered to defend against ogres and karmic demons. And over the course of the show, they make those two monsters so incredibly terrifying that you get it. You know why society came to be this way. And you're almost not sure whether or not it's the right thing on some level.
Yeah, like you don't know, like you think, oh my gosh, like that's so terrible that they do away with these children who have the potential to become an ogre or a karmic demon. And you're like, oh, that's so terrible. But then you see one and you're like, I think Saki said this as well at some point. She said, and then I understood why they did what they did. Like, I don't know, I would do the same thing, but I understand why they did it.
Yeah, like, I understand why they're afraid of the children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the whole thing about parents and just adults in general being afraid of children, and because children are just pure malleable potential, and also very like uncontrollable at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of some people's reaction to like having to form and influence a young mind, like that's very difficult, because you don't want to, well, what they ended up doing in this society in From the New World is that they sort of controlled the kids out of like fear and secrecy and all of that, and kind of like it's almost like they didn't trust themselves to tell the kids the truth and teach them how to deal with that truth.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like no, we can't let you deal with this on your own. We're just not going to tell you what's going on, and we're going to control you.
Pretty much.
True.
Yeah, and like having power over, like, yeah, when somebody like is grabbing for that control of somebody else, that's really fear.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
No, in control and fear, I'd say if there are two words that really sum up just the feel and themes of the show, control and fear are the two words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Control.
Yeah. No, and okay, just one thing that I really wanted to bring up, because I think is really always really cool when stories do this. And Donald brought up the world building in this series, and Shin Sekai Yori falls in that category, I think, of a lot of great fantasy and sci-fi worlds where basically the entire world was created by taking a single concept and pushing it to its maximum craziest end. Like, it's like the author just really started with the idea, okay, but what if humans did develop psychic powers? What if they did develop the ability to manipulate reality with their mind? What would that actually mean? And then just went all the way with it, overload, and came up with these, okay, so if this happened, how would people react? How would people respond? What kind of society would this make? Sort of like, and I love it when stories do that. Like, you know, obviously you look at the, what may consider to be the original science fiction story, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. She sort of took the premise, okay, so apparently the human brain runs on electricity. Okay, what if you could turn a human brain back on? And then she just really took that to its greatest extremes. What does it mean for the human soul? What does it mean to be a corpse that is brought back to life? And that happens a lot with other, like, just fantasy world building as well. Just that idea of the single concept pushed to its extreme, which I always think is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, especially very, very, very much. Especially considering like, oh my god, what was it? When they were at the summer camp and they come across oh god, I forget the name of the thing they found.
Oh, the false Minoshiro?
Minoshiro, yeah.
False Minoshiro, yeah. And he's basically just like a being that he's basically a robot that actually has like the information of like the stuff that happened in the past, and he's revealing like what happened.
Like a computer, like a library archive.
Yeah, you get the inklings of like what happened like in the times previously, like the 1,000 years that led up to this, how the civilization was in that time and place. And oh my god, it's so great. I love it when like you just like one miracle thing happens, but then you're like, what's the immediate aftermath? What is the long-term aftermath of that immediate aftermath? How will that divide into these different branches?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love stuff like that. I love stuff like that because it's like, okay, here's the simple concept. Where do we go from here? That makes it just, we explode and explore all these different theories and different roadmaps.
Yeah. Let's see.
So this was definitely right up my alley. This is...
While we've been talking, I've gotten all of my dystopia books back out.
I expect nothing less from our dystopia master.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the dystopia master. Thank you. Well,
our mistress dystopian.
Yeah, goodness. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that if we want.
Sure.
So, there's a couple of things that I noticed pretty much immediately about the sort of dystopia that they live in, and a dystopia kind of a dystopia is a utopia gone wrong. So it's like if you take one thing that you value the most and then you sacrifice everything else in pursuit of that thing, like that one ideal, you're going to give up all the other ideals. So so I guess in this story, the thing that they wanted to do was avoid the creation of these ogres and karmic demons. So like keep them safe from keep themselves safe from the effects of this telekinetic abilities. So in order to do that, there's always sort of like a hierarchy of power in the in a dystopia where there's like this elite inner circle of people who know what's going on and they control everything, and they answer to nobody. Like when they say like when they say jump, you jump, basically, because you don't, because like nobody remembers what happened at the beginning because information is controlled. So it's sort of like, well, we can only listen to what the inner circle, who is privy to all this information, what they tell us. So part of a dystopia is keeping the masses, or the proles as they're called in 1984, keeping them ignorant and dependent on the system. So the limit and control of information is one thing. Like the fact that the kids found that false Minoshiro that told them all that stuff. That was not supposed to happen. They weren't supposed to go that, like they detoured from where they were going in the summer camp and stumbled upon it. That information was not supposed to be for not supposed to be for the proles, really. Them knowing that stuff throws a wrench in all the all the machinations of the inner circle. Did I use the word machinations correctly?
You did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
And actually, in reference to that concept of like just the limiting of information, I think it's because of that reason why I think how the narrative is explored through this, because I don't think we actually touched upon this. Saki, our main character, is the narrator for this story. Mm-hmm. We are literally seeing this story through her perspective and her narration as she grows up through life. So we're only privy to the information as is seen through her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the control of information. The library, like Saki's mom works in the library.
Yeah.
But there's like the stuff in the library. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's kind of secret. They're like archives, and not just any person can go and read.
Yeah.
Like when they're looking for information about weapons from the ancient times, they have to have the librarian come in and tell them about stuff.
Yeah, like I don't think it's ever explicitly like stated, but definitely that's the vibe that's given.
Yeah. So yeah, limiting and controlling information. An inner circle has power over the masses through keeping them ignorant and dependent. There's lots of surveillance going on. Like you as a normal person, you as a part of the masses, you're always being watched and you're always being monitored. So that's kind of like 1984 as well, actually. Like they had the computer screens where people are being watched through them and stuff. And I mean, I guess people could be watching us through our computers, but let's not think about that. Or maybe do think about that.
This is Anime April, not a conspiracy theorist podcast.
It's a conspiracy. No, okay.
We live in a society.
Calm thyself.
Yeah, so it's a surveillance. It's a surveillance state. Also, there's sort of this sort of mysterious force that it's not really known what happens to people sometimes, but every once in a while somebody gets disappeared and nobody talks about them anymore. It's like they were never there.
We definitely got that here.
Yep. So people got disappeared, and not only disappeared, but they were like wiped from people's memories. Also, one of my favorite dystopia books, Brave New World, has a lot of stuff about genetic modification. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of explored from the New World as well. Like the human beings through the generations were kind of like modified and sort of molded into this master race, but also molded with the like those sort of mental blocks that would keep them from becoming ogres or karmic demons, like the death of shame is.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, Shun.
Now, maybe not genetic, but
I believe it is actually. Not sure if Death of Shame was a hypnosis or genetic thing, but I think that one was actually a genetic thing.
Death of Shame was genetic?
I think so.
Oh, yes, that would explain why.
Oh, yeah, why what happens at the end happens at the end.
Why the kid of two of these people who grew up somewhere else, why she also had the Death of Shame. That explains it. Okay.
Yeah.
That it's genetic. Okay, yeah, but genetic modification for the quote unquote betterment of society, but it's really just for control, so the higher ups can control you. And sort of like create this kind of class structure, like in Brave New World, they have they're like the alpha people who are prime physical and mental specimens. They are like the perfect people, and it goes all the way down to like people who are like gammas and epsilons, I think, who there's like when they're being created in the test tubes, there's like the scientists will purposely cut off oxygen flow to cause like mental retardation in these other people so that they won't be able to like mental and physical, they're smaller, and that therefore they're like exploitable for slave labor, basically. So that reminded me of Brave New World a lot. The genetic modification aspect of like, you've got the master race, and then you've got like other creatures and entities that are below that and are like less than. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. There you go.
No, yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. Like on the subject, I believe you mentioned something about like an alpha person. Like, well, the interesting things, the alpha person in this society, like her whole thing is, I didn't get to the top by being so much smarter or so much cleverer than everyone else. I got to the top because I'm able to cheat death. I'm able to just keep on gaining all of this experience and gaining the trust of everyone.
Yeah, she can telekinetically like rebuild her cells or something.
Yeah, like I wish I remember how, because it's actually like an actual scientific thing. Like there's a certain part of your I think it's your RNA that deteriorates over time and does not regenerate. And she figured out a way to make it regenerate, which basically means that that's basically the off switch for aging, is to keep that. I think it's RNA from regenerating. I do not quote me on that. Yeah. I think it's RNA.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, her being around for so long, like, she can remember what things were like 200 years ago because she was there, you know, so she has the experience of having been there at the time. Whereas, you know, in a society like this where information is sort of controlled and limited and kept under wraps, if you don't know what happened in the past, someone can just, like, someone who gains your trust and you depend upon, like people depended upon these committees, like the ethics committee, the education committee. They can tell you this is what happened in the past, and then you don't question it because, like, you weren't there at the time.
Yeah. No. And then also on the subject of like controlling the masses, like in this setting in particular, that just becomes that much more like frighteningly, like, again, almost seeming necessary when you think about like the whole concept of the spiritual barrier. I find to be incredibly fascinating. Okay, so I want to talk about this because I think it's a really cool concept, cool example of the world building in this series. Yeah. So every like human settlement or whatever is surrounded by a spiritual barrier, basically like, you know, sort of like almost like Japanese Shinto talisman, whatever, surrounding the villages. And everyone is conditioned from a very young age. Don't go beyond the spiritual barrier. It's protecting us. It's keeping us safe from the dangers of the outside world. And that conditioning filters into their subconscious to the point that any extra psychic powers that they have leaking out of their subconscious goes outside the spiritual barrier and messes around with the world outside the barrier, but not the world inside, not the villages where the people are living. So that sort of psychological conditioning becomes reality by means of the psychic powers. It's just
they're told that there is stuff to fear out there, and through the power of suggestion, it becomes so. Yeah. Dude,
love it.
Yeah.
And I guess one other just random question: when you guys watched this show, did you watch it in the Japanese dub or the English dub?
I watched it on Crunchyroll, so I watched it in the original Japanese form with English subtitles.
Yep, Japanese, me too.
Okay, yeah, because the first time I watched it, I actually watched the English dub rather. I'm actually not sure where I found that now that I think about it, because the sub's the only one on Crunchyroll. But I watched the Japanese for my rewatch in preparation for this episode. Yeah, it's...
Bless you for preparing for the episode.
Oh, thank you. I try. Just nothing really, like... I really get into, like, looking into, like, who did voices for what and stuff, and not really anything I'm super familiar with as far as the voice actors, with the exception of Satoru, which I actually am rather familiar with both the English and Japanese voices for Satoru. In the English dub, he's actually voiced by Greg Ayres, which, if you have seen a dubbed anime from, like, the mid-2000s, you've probably heard Greg Ayres' voice.
Yep.
He hasn't done a whole lot of, like, really major roles, but he's really made a career for himself with minor roles and supporting roles.
Oh, Greg Ayres is fantastic.
That's where the money's at, honestly.
Yeah. So those of you listening, you might know him as Monokuma from the Danganronpa series. He was the Gecko Chimera dude in Full Metal Alchemist.
Wait a minute. The gecko?
The gecko, the lizard, whatever. The little one of Greed's little minions.
Oh, okay. See, when you say chimera, I immediately think of that guy who's like his head was fused upside down inside of like a yeti or something. Like
he's also like Goldo in like all the Funimation Dragon Ball dubs.
Oh yeah, he is.
But then funnily enough, in the Japanese, Satoru is voiced by Kaji Yuki, who, on the other hand, is a really big voice actor.
Oh, yeah.
You might know him as Todoroki in My Hero Academia, Hirose Koichi in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Parts 4 and Parts 5, and most notably, Eren Yeager from a little-known show called Attack on Titan.
Yep!
Yeah.
Kaji!
Yeah, that's just fun.
Gotta love it when we put down like voice acting credits and stuff.
No, I like voice acting trivia. I always think it's fun.
Same. I know Andrew knows that I drop that crap all the time on my streams. So
yeah, I think
do you creep around in there sometimes too, Andrew?
No, yeah, I think my very first comment, the very first time I commented on one of Donald's streams, he was playing Persona 5, and I was like, wait, who's the dub voice for Morgana? I know that voice.
Yep.
And that's my very first comment on one of his streams, actually.
Yep.
Did you know
that's
the
true.
Voice?
I did. It's Cassandra Lee Morris. I mainly know her from another video game series, Trails of Cold Steel, where she plays a character named Fee Clausel. She's
her name sounds familiar to me too, which I do not understand why.
I might have mentioned it in passing at one point because I'm low-key obsessed with that series.
The Tales series? Oh, completely understandable.
Oh, not Tales, Trails.
Oh, Trails. Still completely understandable.
Yeah.
But
yeah. What do I know her from?
Let me look up Cassandra Lee Morris. Let me see.
I'm already doing it.
Well, you guys look that up. I do have to say, like, there was a certain dystopia novel that played in my mind, like just throughout this entire series while I was rewatching it. And I had to make a double comparison between that and the original book. Has anyone read the 1993 novel The Giver?
Yeah.
I have not, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
I know it, but I haven't read it.
For some reason, I was drawing so many weird parallels to, like, the society that was presented in from the New World as opposed to, like, The Giver. That was the dystopian novel that really stood out in my mind, like, while I was watching this.
Yeah, actually.
I just wanted to add to that.
Where it's got a lot of the same stuff. Like, yeah, the kids and they're being chosen and learning about their world, but not really knowing too much about it as well.
Indeed.
Wow,
Hannah,
that was a really detailed analysis right there, wasn't it?
Many deets, much deets.
Yep.
No, you've seen Madoka Magica, right?
Maybe that's where I know it from. Like, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it, but I did
Okay.
listen to the Anime with Wine podcast where they talked
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, because Cassandra Lee Morris plays Kyubey in the English dub of Madoka Magica.
Kill it.
Okay.
Kill it with fire.
Don't kill Cassandra Lee Morris.
I'm not talking about Cassandra Lee Morris. I'm talking about Kyubey.
Okay, you can kill Kyubey.
Kill
That's fine.
Kyubey with fire.
We can kill Kyubey as a treat.
Do it again, Hanukkah. But anyway, so any final thoughts or anything like that for you guys about this series?
I talked about dystopias, so I'm good.
And I talked about voice actors, so I'm good.
All right, I guess I'll wrap it up. In summation, guys, this is not a series like art style aside. The animation is very deceiving, I must say. Like, when there's a thing with like animation, when you see like a certain style, you're expecting like a certain kind of like genre or softness in order to be portrayed. Where it's like, okay, this one has a little bit more of like hard stencil edging in the animation, so we're probably expecting like more action oriented stuff and everything like that. The animation in the show kind of leads you into a false sense of security, which kind of plays into the show's strength.
You're like,
kind of
oh my gosh, they're so cute in their little uniforms. They're like, oh, what, oh shit.
It's got kind of a comfy shonen look to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It also does the same kind of thing like another anime series that was released years after this, Made in Abyss, also does. Like, the animation kind of like is very warm and welcoming, but the underlying world underneath is very, very dark. Can be very dark at many turns. Mm-hmm. So, I have to say, well done. Well done.
Good choice.
Très bien. Très bien.
You know, right up until it gets to the really psychedelic stuff that happens in a couple episodes.
Oh yeah, a couple episodes like that. Like, it looks like you're going through like a freaking acid trip, and I'm like, yes, bring the trippiness.
Yeah.
So disorienting.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. That was the most normal part to me.
Surprising neither of us.
I don't know what to make of it. That y'all are like, oh, yeah, that's weird. That's Hannah.
Hey.
Everyone knows it's Hannah.
Hannah.
Cue the laugh track.
There's like one person at the end, like.
She nailed it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up everything that I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to mention the animation in this show. So I must say, I think we're on the consensus that this is a series that we all highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree on it. It's definitely an anime that can be very easily overlooked. That was easily overlooked like during the time period because of like much bigger names at the time. But it is definitely a good show to go back on and just watch. Fair warning to you guys, don't really binge it, but at the same time, definitely take that plunge and just watch it.
I almost feel like you could binge it like in stages, though. Like maybe if you binged each arc.
Each arc,
yeah. Each time skip. Yeah, you definitely could that. Just be careful. Just watch at your own risk and make sure you're prepared. That's all I can say.
There is a lot of information and a lot of emotional, gut-wrenching things.
Yep.
Tear my heart into pieces.
This is Rui Sports Resort.
Did any of you at the when monster rat Squira when he was saying what his name was? Did any of you think when he said like, my name is Squira? Did any of you think like, this is Sparta? Anybody?
No, but now I'm never going to be able to look at that the same again.
This is Squira.
It's just you, Hannah.
No, we're never gonna get that out of our minds. Thank you,
nope.
Thank you, Lady Kubiak.
That's what I'm here for.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Hannah. You ruined anime.
No, she didn't.
Oh yeah.
You can't ruin anime. It's impossible.
The only one that can ruin anime is anime.
That is true.
Shall we pull the plug on this one?
I think we're
it's dying. It's dying.
Let
it go.
Yeah, I think we're good. Nobody want to add any final thoughts? We've said our piece.
Nope, I'm good.
Mr. Kelly?
No. As far as subject goes, the subject is done. Sentences, words.
All
phrases.
Right. Well,
that's why we have you on the podcast.
Indeed.
You know the sentence and the word.
I do. I know how to speaking the Englishes and all of them good.
Yep.
All right, Andrew. I want to thank you for bringing this show into the discussion. It was a very good watch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A fine watch. A very fine watch.
Thank you. I made it myself. I didn't actually.
I realized as soon as I said it, I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna comment on that saying his name. Well, if you guys want to check out From the New World or Shin Sekai Yori yourselves, definitely go check it out. It is available for streaming on Crunchyroll for the English sub. If you guys want to buy the series for yourself, the series is licensed and distributed in the United States via Sentai Filmworks. So definitely go check them out. They have released it on Blu-ray and DVD. If you guys want to go grab yourself a copy of the series, definitely go do that. Support the industry, support anime, all that good stuff.
Also, I just found it. The dub, if you are a dub person, is streaming on High Dive. So if you wanted to check out the dub, you can check it out there.
Oh, it is High Dive. Okay, yeah. Awesome. I was trying to find that this entire time. I'm like, is the dub anywhere? Oh, High Dive. Excellent. So yeah, if you want to watch the English dub, go check out High Dive. That is highdive.com. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys love what we do here on the podcast and you just want to follow us and just listen to us goof around, we are found on multiple different platforms. We are on Spotify, Spreaker, and Apple Podcasts. If you guys don't have access to any of those streaming services, all the episodes will be uploaded to my personal YouTube channel at Anime Rev Productions. That is Anime Rev Productions on YouTube. If you guys want to follow us on social media, make sure to check us out on Twitter at General Geekery, Gen Geek Podcast, and on Instagram at General Geekery. And if you guys want to support the show and what we do here, please consider pledging to our Patreon at patreon.com/General Geekery. Have the opportunity to win some fabulous art from the artiste extraordinaire herself, Hannah Kubiak, and join in the discussion of different episodes. You'll get the chance to watch each episode a few days before they go live on all streaming platforms, and as well as many other perks in store in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, what are you up to? Is there anything you'd like to share?
So you can find my podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It is called Tales from the Heliosphere. If you had asked me a couple months ago, I would have told you that it is fantasy, Canterbury Tales in space. Recently, I am going through a little bit of pivoting, however. So if you listen to the podcast now, there'll be a lot of longer form episodes. Due to my inability to continue producing those, I am trying out something new with shorter form episodes, just little stories from a fantasy version of our solar system. Basically, the whole idea is, what if science, except also gods and elves and fairies? Mm-hmm. So you can check that out. As of this episode being released, my first Heliosphere short should be out. That's sort of the new format we're going for. But yeah, check that out. And also, I am a boomer when it comes to social media. But once in a blue moon, you might find me posting on Twitter or Facebook under @HeliosphereCast.
We'll have all the information for that in the description of this episode. Hannah, would you? Was there anything else you'd like to share, Andrew?
Nope.
Okay, Hannah, where can they check you out at?
Well, you can find me rolling dice with my party every Monday at 7:30 Central on twitch.tv/loadeddiceadventures. And if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, you can do so at Pythian Legume.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Loaded dice?
Yeah, I said loaded dice.
Oh, I'm losing my mind. Sorry, I've been we're recording this podcast on a night where I've had a very busy day of drinking a lot of caffeine and serving a lot of different drinks. So sorry, I'm not in my top form.
Huzzah.
But if you guys,
I've been drinking,
bruh. But if you guys still like me and my loopy state and everything like that, if you do want to check me out, I'm on social media on Twitter and Instagram at RyuzakiMK7. You can also check me out on twitch.tv at RyuzakiMK7 as well. I play a majority of different games. A lot of them are RPG based, and some of them have some quiet moments in between of unspoken dialogue where I do a lot of on-the-spot voice acting for the fun. And I love interacting with my chat room all the time. Andrew and Hannah have both been in there at several times, and I get bullied a lot. My chat bullies me a lot.
It's fun. You should do it. Bully him more.
Yeah, it's fun.
Don't encourage it.
Oh, I'll encourage it.
It'll be fun, they said.
It'll be fun, they said. They said
Yes,
you'd have a good time, they said.
It'll be fun, they said.
But definitely go check that out on twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7. We will also be doing another Enepticon stream this month. Hannah, when was the date that we decided on the Enepticon stream?
Stand by for calendar. I believe it is the 18th.
I think so.
Yes, 18th.
Yep, we will be doing our third Enepticon stream on April 18th of this month on twitch.tv/RyuzakiMK7. We're going to be doing a game that is anime themed for Anime April. I haven't totally decided on what to do, but yet. But hopefully I'll get something down soon for us to have fun with.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. That is going to be it for this episode of General Geekery. Oh, also, by the time this episode is released, we will have a poll released on what show you guys want me and Hannah to talk about in a special live episode of General Geekery this month for the final installment of Anime April 2021. The poll will be made by the time this episode is released on all podcasting platforms, and the link of which will be in the description of this episode. So go check out that poll page and vote on what show from that list, which are all shows that were suggested by our listeners and everything on all of our different social media platforms. Which one you guys would love for us to talk about? We would absolutely love to get your input. Thank you.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So, this has been episode 75 of the General Geekery podcast, talking all about From the New World, Shin Sekai Yori, with our special guest, Andrew Kelly. Andrew, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you again for having me. It's always a blast.
Always a blast having you on as well. It's always fun. So, until next time, guys, for Andrew Kelly, for Hannah Kubiak, I'm Donald Kaczynski. And until next time, guys, keep watching anime. Enjoy yourselves. Never forget the person named Reiko.
Who's Reiko?
Who's Reiko?
Oh god, they've already lost it.
No, seriously, I don't.
She was the first girl to disappear.
Oh. No one cares.
Who are we talking about?
I think we were talking about Shun.
Fair enough.
Shun?
I don't know.
Anyway, always remember to keep your geek on.
Always.
Clink, clink. Andrew's clink, clink was better than ours.
Yeah.
All three of
it's
us.
always a MacGyver situation for me here. It's a water bottle and a pair of scissors that I use this time.
I was actually drinking tea, and for unrelated reasons, I have a beer mug on my desk as well.
You know, okay, you win, Mr. Kelly. You win this time. Later, guys. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.